Mark Zuckerberg. You hear the name and you probably think of a few things, right? Hoodies, Harvard, and of course, the social network that completely changed how we live. And we all feel like we know the story. The programming genius who became a billionaire before he could even run a car. But the real story? It's way more complicated. It's this incredible mix of contradictions. He's a visionary builder who is also accused of theft, a leader who loves flat open organizations but holds all the power himself, and a philanthropist who's giving away a massive fortune but in a way that makes a lot of people scratch their heads. So let's get into it and try to unpack the man of contrasts.
You know, this quote from the New Yorker just absolutely nails it. It gets right to the heart of who Mark Zuckerberg has always been. Think about it. While other kids were mashing buttons on a Nintendo, he was the one building the games. When he was just 11 years old, he created something called ZuckNet. It was basically a simple messaging system for his dad's dental office. Right there, you can see the seed of everything that was to come, this deep, natural instinct to build things that connect people.
And then, of course, came Harvard, February 2004. From his dorm room, Zuckerberg launches the Facebook. Now, it wasn't the first social network out there, not by a long shot, but its genius was its exclusivity. At first, it was just for Harvard students, and that made everybody want in. It spread like wildfire to other colleges. The idea was brilliant, the timing was perfect. But, and this is a huge but, that incredible success was tangled up from day one with a fight that would shape his reputation for years to come.
So let's talk about that ascent and the accusations that came with it. Because with Facebook, the triumphs and the trouble happened at pretty much the same time. I mean, from the very first week it launched, the platform's success was shadowed by these really serious accusations. This wasn't some problem that popped up later down the road. It was baked into the origin story right from the very beginning.
Just look at how fast this all went down. The Facebook goes live on February 4th. And then, just 6 days later, three Harvard seniors, you've probably heard of them, the Winklevoss twins and Divya Narendra, they come forward saying Zuckerberg stole their idea. They claimed they'd hired him to build their social network, called Harvard Connection, but that he secretly used their concepts to build his own competitor. So, the fight for Facebook's ownership, it started before the site was even a week old.
That legal battle dragged on for years and ended with a massive settlement. The Winklevosses and Narendra got $20 million in cash, and on top of that, 1.2 million Facebook shares. That huge payout really cemented the controversy as a fundamental part of Facebook's history. It was a very, very expensive end to the first big challenge against Zuckerberg's creation.
Okay, so with those early legal battles mostly in the rearview mirror, Zuckerberg could finally focus on what he really wanted to do: build an empire. And as Facebook morphed from a little campus project into this global behemoth, his very unique leadership style started to come into view. And guess what? It revealed another set of fascinating contrasts. He was both a disruptive architect and a total autocrat.
You've probably heard this one before: move fast and break things. For years, that was the mantra that defined Facebook's whole culture. It was basically the hacker way of doing business. Just push forward, innovate like crazy, and don't worry if things aren't perfect. The company was famous for its hackathons, these all-night coding sessions where the only goal was to build something new and build it fast. And honestly, that philosophy is what fueled Facebook's insane growth.
So to move that fast, Zuckerberg deliberately threw out the traditional corporate playbook. You know, the typical pyramid structure. He wanted nothing to do with it. He pushed for a much flatter organization. In fact, just in 2023, he called it the year of efficiency. And a huge part of that was just ripping out layers of middle management. The whole idea was to get rid of bureaucracy so information could flow faster and the people actually building things felt empowered.
So how does he actually run this massive global company? Well, it all comes down to what he calls his core team. It's this super tight-knit group of just 25 to 30 of his top most trusted executives. And get this, he doesn't really do scheduled one-on-one meetings. He prefers to just talk openly and spontaneously when issues pop up. The expectation is that these leaders are smart enough to manage themselves. The whole group just gets together for 2 main meetings a week, one for big-picture strategy and one for day-to-day operations.
And right here, this is the paradox. The company's structure might look flat on paper, but the power is anything but. It's all concentrated right at the very top. Because of the way the company's shares are structured, Zuckerberg has the final say on, well, everything. The board can't overrule him. The shareholders can't overrule him. Now, that kind of absolute authority lets him take huge, long-term risks that other CEOs can only dream of. But it also means that when things go wrong, he's the one standing directly in the line of fire.
And that ultimate power has led to ultimate accountability, at least in the public eye. Time and time again, Zuckerberg himself has been hauled before the U.S. Congress to answer for the company's biggest failures. We're talking about the Cambridge Analytica data scandal, the spread of misinformation during elections, and just recently in 2024, he was forced to stand up in a hearing and apologize directly to families whose children had suffered from online abuse.
All right, let's switch gears a bit, because another huge piece of the Zuckerberg puzzle is his philanthropy. And just like with his company, his approach to giving away money is both groundbreaking and, you guessed it, pretty controversial. It really reflects that unique Silicon Valley mindset about how you're supposed to change the world.
Back in 2015, after their first daughter was born, Zuckerberg and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan, made a promise that just dropped jaws everywhere. They announced they were going to give away 99% of their Facebook shares. At the time, that was worth about $45 billion. The money would go to their new organization, the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative, or CZI, with this massive mission of advancing human potential and promoting equality. So their whole approach is what people call philanthrocapitalism, and it's a perfect example of it. What does that mean? Well, basically, you take all the tools from the business world, ruthless efficiency, data, market strategies, and you apply them to solving social problems. So instead of just writing a check and walking away, they take a very hands-on, almost venture capitalist-style approach. But it's the way they set up this venture that's really raised some eyebrows.
So this is the really crucial part to understand. CZI is not a traditional charity. It's set up as a limited liability company, an LLC, and the differences are huge. A normal foundation has all these strict rules about how much money they have to spend, who they can lobby, and how transparent they have to be. As an LLC, CZI has basically none of those restrictions. It gives Zuckerberg and Chan total flexibility and control over how they use their fortune.
And as you can probably guess, this structure has drawn some pretty sharp criticism. The LLC model means CZI can invest in for-profit companies, it can lobby politicians, and it can operate with way less transparency. And on top of that, there are some pretty big tax advantages here. Donating stock like this can shield billions of dollars from capital gains taxes. So it raises this really fundamental question. Is this pure philanthropy, or is it a new, super sophisticated way to build power and influence?
And that brings us to today, and to his most audacious, most mind-bending bet yet. It's a pivot so big that it kind of sums up his entire career. You've got this immense, almost sci-fi level of vision, combined with an absolutely insane amount of financial risk, and of course, a whole lot of public skepticism. He's not just trying to connect our world anymore, now he's trying to build the next one.
In October 2021, Zuckerberg made the announcement. Facebook, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, was changing its name to Meta. And let's be clear, this was so much more than a PR move. It was him planting a flag, declaring a brand new mission for the company, and staking the entire future of his empire on a concept that, for most of us, still feels more like a movie than reality.
So his vision is all about the metaverse. What is that? Well, think of it as this persistent, interconnected network of virtual spaces, a place where you can hang out, work, and play with other people who aren't in the same room as you. He believes this immersive digital world that you get to through virtual and augmented reality is going to be the next great computing platform. He thinks it's a shift just as big as the one from desktops to mobile phones. And he's not just talking, he is pouring tens of billions of dollars into this bet year after year.
So when you look at the whole story, Mark Zuckerberg is just a series of powerful contradictions. He's the shy coder who built the world's biggest social stage, the innovator who moved fast and broke things, including, for many people, their trust. He's the autocrat who champions a flat company, and the philanthropist who blurs the line with capitalism. So what is he? A visionary building the next chapter for all of us? Or a mogul who's just trying to cement his control over our digital lives? From that Harvard dorm room all the way to the metaverse, one thing is for sure. His story is far from over, and it's shaping our world in ways we're all still trying to figure out.